Hey Brickheads, Scott with 36 Bricks here, taking a quick look at my coral reef that I'm going to turn into a GBC. Let's check it out. Alright guys, so yeah, that's right, GBC, Great Ball Contraption. Super excited to accept this challenge. Right, that's right, it is a challenge. So, at my last event, which was ExpoCon in Las Vegas, I didn't do any footage on that or anything like that. There wasn't much to showcase, but at it, we were dealing with GBC stuff, and because the Lug Vegas group really loves GBCs. So I was challenged to somehow incorporate a GBC into this module or this build. So I'm super excited to kind of hash this out. So this is what basically I'm thinking of. Somehow I've got to get a ball, basically one of the soccer balls or the round balls, from this side of the build all the way to this side of the build and have it cohesive with the build, right? It has to look like it was meant to be there. So, kind of playing around with things, and I come to the realization that I can actually have a ball come in on this side. I might have it go basically up and around this back area through here onto this side, and then have it exit this side. Now, if this is the only GBC that is out there, I also want to figure out a way to incorporate the ball return into this back section. So that's going to be the fun part, because as you can see, the mountain ranges are different sizes, different spans away from the edge of the build, all that. So I've got to incorporate all of that and figure it out. So let's get started. Alright guys, so I went ahead and started talking with Lauren about different ways to move the ball within my build. So because I figured using the track or figuring out the track would be the first best step. So in going through, I decided to try this because I had seen it before. The downfall is I feel like when the ball sits in there, it's just too shallow. Like it doesn't, it could easily pop out this way or this way. If it hits a turn, I felt like it just wasn't secured in enough. So I tried to determine this. This clutch is a little bit better, but again, if it hits a turn, it's gonna, basically go off the rails. So coming around to this side, I decided to get something with a little bit more lip and a little bit more track, seen these done, and I was going to go this way, and it does sit really well. However, I want it to sit in more. You can kind of see here that there's a little bit more of a gap there that I wasn't sure that I liked. But I also was taking into consideration that this has to travel, this has to go in, basically be pulled out of the crates, transported all over wherever I display, stuff like that. And I felt like the ball would still pop out. So I decided to actually have it set more in. So I went with this method because I felt like it sat on the track a little bit better, but I just felt like it was a little bit too loose. I just don't feel like it would sit in well. So I went ahead and thought about all the pieces that I had, because I also needed to make sure that I had a bunch of them. So I went ahead and am trying out these pieces. Now, as you guys know, I combined 2 of the Daily Bugles and I removed all of these windows, so I have a ton of them. Now, the problem is of course, if I do this, the ball doesn't go through. So I decided to go this route, same concept, just one stud one stud apart, and it seems to go really well. However, again, I still wanted it to sink in a little bit, so I designed this, and I think it really works. It won't pop out at any point whatsoever. It goes at a decent rate. You can easily move it around, and as you can see, it just glides right through. So I really like this method. Now the only thing that I need to determine is, how do I do the turns? That's going to be a big one. Alright guys, so in thinking about the turns, I figured this piece would be the easiest to gradually move through the track. So I went ahead and put this together, and this kind of shows you basically if I was to angle this way and angle it, it turns rather nicely. Now of course it stops here, so you know, if I was to angle or keep the ball going this way, it should, in theory, keep going. Let's try it. Alright, so in kind of a trial and error kind of situation, I put the ball down, and as it came down, I realized that if I had two of these here, as it would come down, it would actually just stop right there. It would get caught. So I knew I had to have this piece on the outside. Now the dilemma is, if I do that and I still use one of these pieces on this side, then essentially what happens is it ends up getting closed off, where there's going to be a bottleneck point there. So I felt that this piece over here wouldn't be the best. So what I decided to do is corner it this way. So it's a lot simpler, it's a lot easier. I put one more of those right here, and now it pretty much, I just have to increase the level on this just by one tile or one plate, but essentially if I do that, it should slide down and go this way. Now the reason why it stopped is because these are raised, it basically stopped on the inside of that groove. So I basically just have to raise that up in order to get it through. Alright guys, so I went through my pieces and found this piece, went ahead and slid this on, and then as I realized, with the ball, it does go nicely. However, it does sometimes stop right there. So what I did was, obviously I think I have to tile this out so there's no friction. So I'm going to go ahead and place this piece here, this piece here, this piece here, and this piece here. That way it gives it a nice little curve, and then it slides on. Now, at this point, I realized that's too big of a jump right there, so I went ahead and pulled out this piece here. It's essentially just a 1 by 2/3 slope, very small piece with a 1 by 1, and pop these out, pop this in this way, so essentially the ball has a nice little ramp to go in, and then it doesn't really need a ramp to go out, as it'll just kind of fall in line. So now we have a really good way to get the ball through. So now we have to incorporate this into the build and actually find parts that match the color of the build, because obviously we don't want the orange curves and we don't want the mix and match colored glass. So as I said before, I took a lot of these out of the Daily Bugle when I combined two of them. I have about, I think, 6 or 7 of them because of that build. So I have plenty of these, and now we just have to put together the parts with the colors that match the build. Alright guys, so back to the build. I went ahead and essentially created a really long, we have a few of them, a really long version of what I just showed you earlier. So because this is two builds in itself, I needed one to go here, okay, and then I needed a second one essentially to not connect to it, but line up enough to it to where it would go. Now, as you can see, with this one right here, I had to support it. So I have 2x3. I have the 1x plates to filter the track. Then, because it's 3 studs, I have the 1x3, or sorry, the 2x3 pieces, and then it needed extra support. What I realized though is, as you can see, the bricks actually tend to pull it to make it curve. So that's no good, because if I put a ball here and have it go down, then it curves, it might stop in the middle, and then it wouldn't go through. Even if it was angled like this, it just doesn't really work out the way I wanted it to. So I had to support the top, and that's why if you look at this version, you will see that there are plates on top of it to make sure that it straightens out. So I also think that's kind of what's going on with my my skate rink roof. I think that's kind of what's going on with it. So that is where we're at right now. So I've basically determined that if I do straights, I have to just figure out a path to go through the build and over here. So I have the parts that I need to do straights. Now, are straights the way to go? That's the dilemma. I think they are for the most part. It's just essentially I would have to make a turn or make it angle to where it angled to get to this point over here, because essentially I want it to come through here and exit over on this side. Now, because the wall is right here, I have to basically, unless I want to take out sections of the wall and rebuild, I want it to make sure that it comes out this chunk right here, because that gives it enough space. Now, here's the dilemma. If my build is the only GBC, which means I might be displaying on my own, or I might be displaying at another event, say with a Lugola event or an OC Lug event, I want to make sure that I have the ability to have it its own entity and basically circulate itself. So the plan is to actually come around the corner and put in some kind of basically rotation to where I have track that goes all the way down the build here and exits out here. So that's where these come in. That's why I needed the curves. So I've determined that, or I've made these work because they're on the back side. They could be any color that I want, because essentially nobody's going to see them. So I have that set up for this build, this section of the build, and then I also have one over there. I'll come around here. I have one over here for this side. Now here's where another dilemma, and this is where a lot of problem solving comes into play. So essentially, as you can see, these these ugly rock pieces, they go all the way to the end, so there's no bypassing them unless I redesign it. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out a way. So as much as I don't want to take out this whole wall, I've determined that essentially this third row is the best, basically the best path in order to get around the entire, it's either the third or fourth row. So one of these two rows is the best path to get it to come around and cycle through. I believe, looking at it now, it is the third tier. So this tier right here, it has a couple over here that I have to bypass, and then one or two over here that I have to bypass. So that seems to be the best route. I just have to get it to angle to where the ball actually moves through, and that's going to be fun. So a lot of work that's needed to be done, a lot of progress that I will make. It's a challenge, guys. As much as it sucks that I have to take the whole back wall of this apart, I think it would really, really add to the build and be some fun. So let's get to work and get her done. Alright guys, so I've started the process of basically dismantling the structure here. As you can see, I've taken out all of the support structure in the back just to try to fill or figure out what space I need. Like I said, I'm thinking, now that I've got all the support structure done, I'm going to try to take out this piece and move it forward or something along those lines, and then that way I have a straight shot down this way, and then I can figure out over here where I can maybe put something like a holder for all the balls, and then I'll probably tear down this mountain a little bit to get the GBC, the actual motorization going. So let's get to work. Alright guys, so here's the finished back. Spent a lot of time on this area, so this is kind of what it looks like right now. Still, of course, got a lot to do with turning the corner and all of that, but I wanted to showcase to you essentially, so this is the back of section 1, which is the non-base side, and essentially what would happen is the base side would connect over here and hopefully connect in a way where it takes the ball that way. So to give you a little, scope here, this is again 2 base plates. So essentially it goes from the one section. It has a gradual decline. I would say probably 2 bricks, something along those lines, but essentially it would fall into here and then go all the way down, and then it would turn the corner. So that's what I got so far. Still working on the side, and I think before I get to the actual side, I need to figure out essentially what is going to move the balls up to a level to where in the front side it's going to go down and move on to the section over here and then come down this side. So let me figure that out, and let's rock and roll. Alright guys, so to give you a little bit more of a perspective, essentially it's gonna go all the way down the chute and roll on the floor. But yeah, so this is basically how it's gonna look, and then it's gonna make a turn. Alright guys, so after trial and tribulation, I went ahead and tiled this out, fixed this up, and essentially now it's going to go down this chute, and now I got to figure out the upside. So been working on a couple different ways of doing this. Conversed with Lug Ambassador from Vegas to figure out a way to essentially get it to either the next GBC build, because this is kind of the return chute all the way around, or along the lines of getting it higher so that gravity will naturally pull it down. So got this turned around. Now we're going to go ahead and work our way to getting it elevated. Alright guys, so after much thought and figuring things out, along with talking with Lauren, the Lug Vegas ambassador, I figured out, he sent me some instructions on rebrickable. Link will be in the description below. But essentially, here is the elevator that brings it up. So, had to work on this quite a bit. It's a little different than the instructions showcased. However, a lot of it is the same. So, I definitely wanted to keep the theme of the coral reef. So I mixed up the colors a little bit and put it all together. Again, for the most part, the ball comes down the chute. So if I come around here and show you, and I grab a ball, we will place the ball here, and then it'll come, turn the corner, and then go right into this little pocket. So for the most part, this will hold 25, 30, possibly more GBC balls, and then essentially the rotation will have it go up, and I'll show you this in a minute, but it'll work itself up and then right into that chute. Now, what I went ahead and did is I also built these. I kind of first started out with the bridges, and then that way these will come down, and it actually does work and go all the way through. I still have to do a lot of work as far as redesigning the rock wall to showcase that whole section and cover up the design, but wanted to basically show you, if I turn this on here, I went ahead and loaded the balls up. There's about 20, 25 balls there, so it should, in theory, go all the way up, then come down, basically this chute, and come make that turn over there, and then fall into this bag. So, of course, you heard the ball fall onto the ground. Didn't want that to happen, so I went ahead and put a bag there. And essentially, they should collect in the bag. So, this is all motorized. A special shout out to, Lauren and the guy who designed this. I can't think of his name, but again, the information will be in the description below. Again, I modified some things about it. The only thing really is some of the colors of the parts and stuff like that, but essentially we have a power function here, we have a motor in here, and we're going to turn that on, and essentially it's going to come up. Now obviously it's loading more balls than it needs to, but that's essentially how it works. So kind of stoked about how it's turned out. It is feeding a couple balls at a time, but that's actually pretty cool because it will load up pretty quickly. So obviously it's stopping here because of the bag, but essentially I'm really excited about how this turns out. I think I'm gonna figure something out as far as fish or something like that to where these rotate. Not exactly sure, but yeah, so still some things to do. Still want to work on this section because I feel like it's really snug, because once I know the light sucks, there's not much room, so I'm going to have to move this kind of island over. I'm going to have to, oh, there's another ball. So that showcases how that works. And yeah, super excited about that. Let me shut this off and continue building. Alright guys, so for fun, I just added these fish. It looks really funny, and they're swimming in circles around and around. But just for fun, I threw those on there. Figured it'd be a nice little, tweak or homage, but still have to figure out if it shouldn't affect anything regarding the balls, but let's see. Alright guys, so went ahead and refilled some of the balls just to have fun with the fish, and we're going to move that up. I do notice that some of the balls double up, but that shouldn't happen during regular GBC because the balls are going to be a little bit more spread out, but it is cool that they kind of go along this way. I don't know why it's getting kind of stuck there, but I'll have to make some changes and see what that works out to. But I think the fish, although a little silly, it still works out, and you can have some fun with it. So as you can see, they're spinning around. They're going a little bit fast, but hey, it's all in good fun, right? Alright guys, so now that I have essentially the GBC portion done, I went ahead and leveled all this out. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep those there, but it looks so clean and empty. So my plan is to actually build out a little track or tramway for submarines and hopefully motorize everything. So that is essentially why I closed this out or cleaned it all out. It's not going to get close to that, so I left that. And then once I get that situated, then I'm actually going to decorate all of the walls. That way those are done. And as you can see, there's a ton of parts there. I have a ton of parts in here. I mean, there are parts all over the place. So I'm going to get those situated. But first, I'm going to essentially lay down this roller coaster track in basically a way to where it kind of hopefully goes around in a circle, and then I will place the rocks in between or accordingly. So let's have some fun. Alright guys, so super excited about how this has kind of turned out. Got a lot of details in there, got a lot of leftover parts to be honest, but overall super excited about it. So I turned essentially my coral reef not only back into a coral reef, but into a GBC, which means Great Ball Contraption. So the hopper for the balls are right here. Went ahead and added some starfish and some fish to the gears so that they spin, which is pretty cool. So as you can see now, they spin and the balls launch up and go from there. So I'm going to stop it there. Just because I don't have a bag or anything on the opposite side, but this will kind of show you where the balls kind of land and all that kind of fun stuff. I was joking around, so I went ahead and put Sebastian and Flounder in here, and because the fish are turning, it's like you know, the what's it called, the Under the Sea movie where it's like sha la 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 la, don't be shy, you know, wah 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 wah. Sorry, but anyway, so that's kind of an homage to that. I am looking for a aerial minifigure. I can't seem to find any that are reasonably priced or in my area, so that's a bummer. But I do plan on getting an aerial for that, so that's a lot of fun. Coming over here, we do have a fish or a mermaid watching. We have some orange fish on this side, gearing up to a scuba diver, checking out some plant life and all that kind of fun stuff. I do have one arch going this way to kind of you know, give it that reef look. Again, down here we have a lot of the orange fish, some blue fish feeding on the coral, some anemones. I'm not sure if I'm going to add anything to this because this kind of, you know, acts as a nice little finger hold or hand placement there. Now, as you guys can see, I do have the roller coaster track. I am working on some mechanical stuff to where you know, I'm going to have a submarine mechanically going around. We have another arch going this way. Basically, the arch follows into the midsection here. You see some more scuba divers and all that kind of fun stuff going through this arch. And there's a support beam there. Then going in here, you have a nice fish. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. Anglerfish. We have a nice little anglerfish right there, surrounded by fish in a nice hole. Coming around to this side, again, we have some nice fish on, you know, going around the pillars. Some nice sharks and anemones and all of that. Coming around the back, again, you see the ball tunnel essentially going down the back side of the build here. On the inside, you have, again, some more orange fish or goldfish around the coral and all that kind of fun stuff. You have a nice squid or octopus, with some baby octopus. You have, of course, some jellyfish and some sharks back there going along the side. You have some fish going along down the ball tunnel as well. And then, of course, you have the small... it's not Crush, it's Squirt, right there having some fun. And then again, some more fish and some mermaids and kind of fun stuff. We got another deep sea diver there. I do plan on adding a submarine in this area. That's why that area is blank. But ultimately, I really do love how this turned out. Now, coming around for the logistics part, we have the ball return toward the back. Went ahead and modified that. We'll have to do the same with the other build, but just wanted to cap this off just to kind of show you guys. I kind of lightened it up a little bit. People were saying there was so much to it. I do feel like there is still a lot to it, but not as much as there was before. Of course, I have the parts left over to warrant that, but hope you guys like this. Alright guys, so there you have it. Got it all nice and put together. Again, still have to work on a couple things, but hopefully you guys like this kind of stuff. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you like my content and want more, please consider joining to the channel. Every little bit counts, and all donations go right back into the channel, whether it be sets, parts, monetary donations, memberships, all that kind of fun stuff. So again, thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it, and we're going to be doing the second half here shortly. So stay tuned for that. Again, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on 36 Bricks.
Ooh, this one's cool. Check this one out. I agree, that one's cool, but this one's awesome. Ooh, I like this one. I just can't stop watching. Well, I like them all, and I'm going to subscribe. Can you do the same? Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on 36 Bricks.